Hi everyone, welcome to episode 19 of Behind the Brush. I'm Joy Baker with All About Art Gallery, and today I'm joined here in the gallery with one of our local artists, Jade Reynolds. Hi Jade, thanks for coming.
Hey.
I appreciate you coming today.
No problem.
So we've represented Jade's art for about 7 years now, a little while. You were one of the very first artists that we brought in when Adam and I bought the gallery back in 2015. And we just love having your art, kind of a breath of fresh air, I would say. And we get good response from everyone that looks at it.
That's nice.
Yeah. Well, Jade is a local artist. She lives here in Hendersonville, but you haven't always lived here, right? Are you originally from New York, East Coast somewhere?
I was from Long Island, lived there a while,
Okay.
and then lived quite a while in California.
Okay.
And then fell in lust at a film opening with my husband at the time, and moved here in '81.
Nice. So you've been here in Tennessee
So
for
I've
a long
been here
time.
a long time, not born and bred, but
You're
long
technically
time.
a native at this point, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what brought you to Tennessee other than love? Were you like pursuing a career? I know that early on you were a model and an actress. Like, is that what brought you here?
No, that's how I met my husband, but I met him and walked away from everything. Agents, contracts, whatever. Never looked back. So it was a good long ride.
Nice. So when you first got to Tennessee, were you like already an artist, or did you pursue something else?
Well, I've always been involved in art to some small degree, but not like I am now. I mean, when I was 18, 19, to make extra money, I used to go to the big car dealerships, and I would get up on these ladders, swaying and stuff on these huge, huge glass fronts, and they didn't know me, and I'd say, do you want Christmas stuff painted on there? And I was making like, 500, 600 a day, which
Nice.
in the 70s was pretty damn
Pretty
good.
all right.
Yeah, so I did it like that. People always said, oh, you should be an artist. And of course, at that age, the more people say, you should be an artist, you should, I'm like, no. So that didn't happen. It really didn't happen until I got here that I was full-time.
Okay. And did you, so you like design children's furniture, right? Did you also fabricate and craft it or paint it?
Yeah, it started out really small. When I moved here, I left my baby niece, Sarah, and I adored her, and I didn't know anybody here, literally nobody. So I would go into baby stores a lot to buy her stuff and send her stuff. And one day I walked into a store, and these two ladies owned it in Green Hills, and we got to talking. I'd talk to anybody because I didn't know anybody. And they had all these little boxes and these little stools and things. And I said, you ought to hand paint on those, just because I like telling people how they should run their business. And they were like, oh, well, that would be a great idea. And she says, do you paint? And I said, sure, because as in acting, you always say, yes, you can do that. So I said, yes, I can do that. And she said, can you paint Peter Rabbit? And I'm like, can I paint Peter Rabbit? So I left this store with people I don't know with a handful of little boxes and cutesy things and went home, threw Peter Rabbit on it. They sold like that.
Nice.
So I did that for a while, and then I got a local carpenter to start making me some stuff, and I always think really big. So then I thought, well, I'll start buying it wholesale. Pretty soon I had trucks pulling up to our house, and there was like toy boxes and things all over, and I'm hand painting them, and I looked at my husband and said, I need a warehouse. So I got this crappy warehouse, really horrible little warehouse, rat infested, but a lot of artists and stuff were in there, and it was a lot of fun, and it was good times. And I started it, and I got my first big customer was Cracker Barrel.
Nice.
And I walked into Cracker Barrel, and they didn't know me at all, and I said, you need me. And I am still friends with that buyer. We still are very close, good friends.
Nice.
And that was my first really big account. And after that, I landed JCPenney's and Sears and Nordstrom's and you name it, chains of baby stores. And we got bigger and bigger. And one day, my husband was in the studio, so he never knew what I was up to. I walked into a 20,000 square foot warehouse with 8 loading docks and signed a contract. I thought, what the hell?
Hope this is okay.
And I hired a bunch of people, and it got really big. I mean, it was huge. So it was a really good ride. We were on the cover of People magazine, our product, and I've sold to a lot of celebrities. But like anything, it wears thin after a while.
Yeah.
And during that time, I was publishing children's art through a big publisher.
Oh.
And I did a lot of children's art, was in a lot of catalogs, and that was fun, and that was actually more fun. And as you get older, you're like, warehouses working this hard. I don't know. It was downtown. So I think it was 2010. I got out of that. My husband retired from the music business, and I started doing art full time.
Wow, in 2010.
Yeah, and it's fun. I still love it. I mean, my studio is my favorite place in the world. It's my, sanctuary. and I hit that early in the morning, about 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'd stay there all day if I could. But
Well, what's a typical day in your studio like? Do you sketch before you paint, or do you just go right in with the paints? What's
I'm
your process?
usually working on anywhere from 8 to 10 paintings at a time with total different looks, because I have publishers who are asking for certain things. I have an art agent who's asking for licensing art, so I do also some work actually on the computer for licensing work and cute things. And then I'm doing more serious paintings for galleries like you. And so you just kind of bounce around. When I'm tired of standing, I go sit at the computer and I knock out some licensing art for garden flags and mailbox covers and stuff, and then go back to the hardcore stuff.
Nice.
So it's a joy. It is absolutely a joy.
So would you say your preferred medium is like acrylics like these, that you paint on canvas, or do you prefer, what do you like to do?
I don't use oils. No, I don't like oils. I think they're unhealthy to inhale. And I like to work fast. I do everything 90 miles an hour. So if I'm going to be doing 10 paintings at a time, I need them to be drying.
Yes.
So they're all in separate, areas. And I've got the background on this. I got the gesso on that. Whatever the detail on this. And I knocked out 3 paintings today. I've got 4 more started. So.
Wow. That's amazing.
So you'll have more new art soon.
That's awesome. I mean, we just got a whole bunch. I think we had a couple clients clear you out between January and February.
You
so
did.
We just had a total turnover.
I was extremely impressed. Extremely impressed.
Yeah, it was awesome.
You guys have done great with this gallery.
Well, tell me a little bit about your process. Looking at something like this, there's obviously a lot of texture, a lot of movement going on in this. Do you lay down, I know you were talking about gessoing it, do you ever lay down your texture, of a specific thing? Or
no,
how do you
just throw it on there?
Yeah?
Yep. I just put gesso on. I like it thick. I like it. I find it comes like the little interesting, neat places when you run the paint over it, and it catches on some of the gesso marks and stuff, and it gives it a really nice texture. But no, there's no plan. I never have a plan.
Yeah.
In fact, sometimes I'm halfway through a painting and I totally change direction, and or I'll say this is going nowhere. This sucks, and then it'll be like I'll come back to it the next day, and it's like suddenly it's great.
Suddenly it's amazing.
Usually, not always. Not always. I've painted over some paintings we all have.
Well, how do you know when a painting is done? Are they ever done?
Well, with abstracts, that's the key. The key is to know when to walk away so it doesn't turn into wallpaper, because you just keep touching up, or you keep balancing it. It needs a little more here, it needs that side, that. And that's when you get into trouble. So you have to really have an instinct on that, and that kind of develops, and it gets better and better. But a painting like this, which I don't really consider an abstract, I don't know, you just kind of feel it, or you get sick of it, one or the other. But sometimes I'll just put my name on it because that kind of feels like we're close to done now.
That's done.
Yeah. So, but I always live with it a day or so before I make a final decision. And I always take pictures. Well, I have to take huge pictures for the publishers, but I always take pictures of my art because I find when you look at it on a monitor,
it's different.
Well, the mistake, you'll think something's not right. There's something that bothers me about it. It'll jump right out at you. Whereas I can stand in front of it and look at it and it wouldn't. But then when I throw it on the computer, I don't know it. It just separates you from it, and you can kind of see what's wrong.
I think there's something about taking the large item and then shrinking it to the small scale that makes you be able to point out, whether it's a compositional error or, something with a shading or something like that.
Because if you're looking right at it, you're looking at sections, like you say.
Exactly.
But when you step back, then you can say,
you can see the
wow,
whole thing.
It needs another tree, or it needs to get rid of a tree, or whatever.
Especially with works this big. I mean, a lot of what we have for you are pretty big pieces. We've got stuff like this.
I love working big pieces.
Big ones.
Yeah, people don't realize, a lot of customers, I think, sometimes think small paintings are overpriced, but really, I mean, it takes a long time even to do a small painting. I mean, it takes...
Just about as much in some cases.
Yeah, sometimes, it just depends. Not exactly, because we don't want you out there thinking that we're whipping through these. But anyway.
The big ones are harder, for sure.
They're harder, they take longer, you got more paint in them. Pony up.
Nice. Well, are you still painting children's pieces? Like, is that what you still do for publishing, or do you primarily do gallery work?
Well, I mostly do gallery work or licensing work. You know, licensing work is a lot of fun. That's my playtime, because then you can put it on, like mailbox covers or plates or dishes, or like I just had some small rugs come out, and they send me samples, and it's so much fun. I still feel like a little kid when you get something and you go, it's my art out there.
I did that.
Or I walk in a store and I'm looking around, and my first thought is always, someone's ripping off my idea, and I'm like, no, wait a minute, that is my art. It's always a thrill. It always is.
Nice. How do you think your art has evolved over the years, like from your early beginnings as kind of an emerging artist painting the children's stuff to now? Like,
well, you get better. I mean, the more you paint, the more you paint. I mean, that would be my first thought to people who want to get into art or sell it professionally would be paint, 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 because I look back at some of my art from 10 years ago, and it was okay. It was better than average probably, but I definitely developed a feel and a style and a look. So people usually know a piece of my art now.
I think that's for sure. We have clients, especially people who come in and love your art. They're like, I need another Jade.
Yeah.
And they can walk through the gallery. We as a gallery, we don't always cluster our art together by artists. We like to pepper it around so people have to venture through and look at everything. And that you are one of our artists that people can look through the gallery and they spot it. They're like, oh, there's one.
We need a t-shirt that says, I need another Jade.
It's a great idea. Or a bumper sticker.
I know. I'm thinking. Put it on my bumper.
Nice. Well, what are you currently working on? I know you said you've got at least 8 in the works.
Well, Olivia usually has me working on something that she's requested. So I'm working, I think it was egrets maybe, and something fun.
Nice.
But I don't know. I mean, I just did some really fun bees.
Oh.
Bees are popular.
Okay.
And a good friend of mine, she owns a chain of pest control places, and she's in charge of the Nashville Honey Festival.
Okay.
And I worked that last year to help her, and I learned a lot about bees, and they're very popular. I mean, they're very popular. It's not funny.
Hey, I like bees. We have several clients who are beekeepers, actually. So
well, these are 30
I feel
by
like
30s.
The bees would sell.
And they're bright colored, and they have flowers and whimsical bees, and I think you'll like them.
Nice.
But publisher loved them.
Well, that sounds really cool.
So I'm working on that, and I'm working on, I told my agent this, that when Yellowstone got so popular, I said, next thing you know, they're going to be wanting buffalo stuff and ranch stuff and bucking bronco stuff. And she's like, I don't think so. Well, yeah,
maybe they are.
I was right.
Yeah.
And now I'm working on some stuff like that too. So.
Nice. And you just brought us a few new pieces that are kind of in that vein with like the cool, like earthy, not really jewel tones, but like just earthen, natural.
Well, that kind of Rocky Mountain
organic
one, too.
looking
It's kind
colors.
of that same feel. You
Yeah.
know, Wyoming, Montana, the great outdoors. So.
How do you choose your color palette? Do you ever look at like what the current trending colors are, or like Pantone colors?
Absolutely.
Or anything?
I go to Atlanta to the trade shows, to the Atlanta Mart. I don't know that most agents do that, but because I work so much with publishers and licensing, I have to be right on top of what's hot and what's coming hot, not what was hot.
Yeah.
So you have to know, I mean, you have to follow your trends. You have to go to shows. My agent sends out color trends all the time. My publisher sends out color trends and what's hot and what's moving and what's selling. So I'm not one of those artists that sits around and contemplates and, does it out of my heart. I do it for cash. And I want to do what's going to sell. I mean, if you're going to keep agents and publishers, you got to be coming up with stuff that's going to fly off the shelf.
Yeah.
So I do watch close to trends and colors.
I think there's an element of like just traditional nice colors in your art too, though, because even though they are kind of on trend with what's going in like paint colors and things like that, there's always something very grounded with them. And so I feel like, even though maybe the colors are on trend, it's also going to be something that's going to be lasting and will, because we always encourage people to buy art, because you like it, buy it because you love it. And I think that there is an element of that in your art, that even though it's modern and fresh, it's also kind of grounded in something a little bit traditional. So it'll, transition through lots of different decor.
You say that, that's interesting, because I'm a very spiritual person, and I also meditate a lot, and I like art to be calming to people or to make them feel good and to make me feel good. It's like, for example, I don't like the color red. I don't have any reason, deep-seated reason, but I don't like the color red, and you'll never see me paint red. People always go, oh, you should do some red, this and that, and I'm like, oh, that's not going to happen.
Oh, that'd be cute.
But yeah, these are more my colors, and it kind of has to be pleasing to me. It needs to center me, and I think it does for other people, whereas someone else might love, Elvis Velvet Red or something. I don't know. Not me.
Oh, nice. Well, you can definitely tell that you put a lot of love and feeling into your art. They're always just so, like I said, it's like a breath of fresh air. You can look at your paintings and they're cheerful. They have, something calm about them. And I think that's what resonates so well with so many of our clients. That's what they come in looking for. They want something fresh and light, and it definitely fits the bill.
Well, I do a lot of animal commissions too. And it's so funny because you're going to really think I'm whacked for this. But whenever I finish someone like their pet had died. I did a beautiful Bernese Mountain Dog for this woman, and it's an interesting story because she was at the vet about to have her dog put to sleep, which we've all been there. It's a nightmare. And she was about to go in, and she noticed a painting on the wall they had of an angel. And she kind of touched her, and she went in, she said goodbye to her dog. She came out crying. She looked at the painting again, she saw my name on it. And that's how she contacted me. And I just felt like this spiritual pull. Like now I'm doing her horse, and but anyway, when I finished the dog's painting, I was all by myself late one night, and it came out really nice. And I just leaned over and I kissed the dog on the nose of the painting, because I just felt like, you're special, and she's spending this money because she never wants to forget your little face, and it's nice. So I do put a lot of myself into it that way.
I didn't realize that you did commissioned pet portraits. That's good to know.
Yep. There you go. Another t-shirt.
Yeah.
Portraits by Jade.
Nice. Well, Jade, this has been so great. Thank you so much for coming and chatting with me. It's been really insightful to talk about, your process and how you work, and I've learned a lot about you that I didn't know. So that was really fun.
You probably locked the doors now, but
For anyone who doesn't know, we are all about art gallery and custom framing. We're located in Hendersonville, Tennessee in the City Square Shopping Center. You can visit our website, allaboutartgallery.com, to see more work from Jade and other artists that we represent. And if you have any questions, feel free to just give us a call, 615-826-9880, and we'd be happy to hear from you. Thanks again for coming, Jade. I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Joy.